How do we create teal in the shadows without affecting our black points and without ruining our skin tones, okay, and keeping the highlights white and neutral? How do we do that? So I'm currently editing my first ever short film, and I'm at the point where I'm color grading it, and I thought I would take you guys along with me to show you what I'm doing. And I'm creating a sort of clean teal look. So you'll see what I mean. You'll see what I mean. So these are the two clips that we are going to be grading, and I'm showing you guys the end product first. So this is number one, and this is number two. So essentially, what we've got going is a very clean highlight look. So it's clean white, but then I'm adding a little bit of teal in the shadows, and I'll show you like in this image. And the reason I didn't go for full teal and orange Hollywood style is because I just wanted to keep it fairly clean, I think. And teal and orange is best done with practical lighting. So, I mean, it's possible to create teal and orange without having used practicals. And I'm going to make a teal and orange tutorial very soon. So stay tuned for that. But for this project, anyway, I wanted to keep it clean. So let's break this down and see what's going on. So this is Rec 7 and 9. And we're going to look at this image first, and then we'll do the second one. So this is Rec 7 and 9, and I'm doing a conversion, as always, from S-Log3 to DaVinci Wide Gamut, and I'm editing in DaVinci Wide Gamut, and then going to Rec 7 and 9. So let's take a look at what's going on. And I'm going to reset all of these nodes, actually, and we'll just do this from scratch. So first of all, balancing. I want to make everything white that's supposed to be white and keep it there for the entire grade. So how are we going to do this? Linear gamma, you guys have seen me do this 100 times. If you don't know about this method, check out this video right here. Gamma, linear, and we're going to just use our gain wheel. And the way that I like to white balance is just by using the waveform. So if you look at the waveform, obviously I've got way too much red, so I'm going to start adding some blue. Okay, and then I'm going to start pulling down the red a little bit. I'm not even looking at the video, I'm just looking at the waveform. Okay, so already we're getting somewhat. There's a little bit too much red still, so I'm going to use the sliders and add a bit of blue, take out some red, and this is looking pretty good. Okay, so before and after, nice. And I'm just looking at this part. So obviously you can see in the colorized waveform that this is white. If you click on the three little sliders here, you can colorize it, which is obviously way more useful. So I don't know why you wouldn't use colorized waveform, but anyway. Then we're going to be going on to the contrast. So the genre of this film is sort of thriller drama. It's inspired by Bond a little bit, so spy-ish. That's the look and the feel that I'm going for. And the narrator is an unreliable narrator. So I want to introduce a little bit of color into the shadows, which we're going to do in a second. And I also want to bring the overall levels down just to make it a little bit more dramatic. So in my contrast, first of all, I always set a point around middle gray just to keep skin tones intact. So if I qualify as skin, yeah, you can see I'm literally right on it. So if I just click on his skin, there we go. And I'm going to just pull everything down a little bit in the highlights, and I'll add a little bit of contrast in the shadows, and I'm keeping clean black. I'm not lifting my black points at all for this entire project. I just prefer it for this kind of look. And then I'm gonna go in my gamma and bring this down. So most of this film is kept around the sort of mid to low range. If I'm shooting directly towards a light, so you can see like up here, then obviously that's going to be a lot higher up. I think we can leave it around here for now. So contrast, it's just softening up the highlights a little bit and bringing the whole thing down. Now in the curves, so how do we create teal in the shadows without affecting our black points and without ruining our skin tones, okay, and keeping the highlights white and neutral? How do we do that? Okay, so my favorite way to do this is with the custom curve. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to bring this guy up here. And if you break this link, or you just click R for red, then you can individually affect just the red in the image. So if you add red, obviously you're adding red. If you subtract red, you're adding teal. Okay, so you're adding blue and green, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to qualify parts that I don't want to affect. So basically anything from here is going to be very, very dark, okay? And you can see there's barely anything in the image that's this dark anyway. And I don't want to affect his skin, so I'm going to click there. So pretty much anything in this region, I'm going to just bring this a little bit closer. So now what I'm going to do, I'm going to make a point here, and I'm going to bring this down, and it's not going to affect the black points because that would be around here, and it's not going to affect my highlights, which is going to be up here. You see what I mean? And you'll see what happens. So if I start pulling this down, you can see, if I just show you to the extreme, the parts of the image that we're affecting. So if I pull this down a little bit, just a tiny bit, okay, and if I do before and after, look at the difference that we're making, and let me play forward a little bit. So we're just adding a tiny, tiny hint of teal right here in this sort of shadow region, okay, and I can pull this down a little bit more, maybe we can accentuate this look a little bit more. Right, so we're affecting this part down here, we're affecting a bit of his jacket, little parts of the image on the left hand side, but we're just completely leaving all of our white points, but we're leaving everything that's white and all of the highlights as they are. And what we're going to do now is we can go in hue versus sat, and you can adjust this. So if you want this teal look to be stronger, you can increase the saturation or decrease saturation. I'm not going to do anything here actually, but what I am going to do is going to go in luminance versus sat, and I'm going to just pull a bunch of saturation out of my highlights. And this is sort of what happens in bleach bypass, if you guys have heard about bleach bypass. I might make a video about that. It's a separate look which basically makes use of desaturating your highlights, and if you do this, you're basically ensuring that you're getting clean white in your highlights. So just look at this. This is pretty flipping good. And if you go on the vector scope, let's open this up. Yeah, we're basically dead on in the middle. And then I'm also going to do the same thing in the shadows. So I'm going to bring this down. So what this is doing is desaturating our shadows and desaturating our highlights, but leaving everything in the middle. So this is anything in this luminance region, the saturation is going to stay the same, but anything in this luminance region, so getting closer to white, which is why the graph is showing you white towards one end and black towards the other, we're desaturating, okay? And I mean, I'm pretty happy with how this is looking already. So if I show you before and after with the curve, and if I show you the balance, contrast, and curve, I mean, look at this. It's completely night and day. And then the last thing that I did for this shot was just add a window. So what am I doing here? So first of all, I'm creating a window, and I'm just dragging a circle. In fact, I'll just do it. Let me just do it from scratch. I'll show you guys very quickly. So I'm going to click the circle, and I'm going to zoom out a bit. I'm going to make this a bit bigger, and I'm going to sort of orient it in this angle so that it more accurately follows the direction of the light in the shot. I'm going to feather this out a little bit. And then what I've done here, if you click on this node and press Alt-O, you can create an outside node, or you can right click and then go to add node and add outside. So what this is doing, if I hit Shift H, this is showing you what the node is selecting. So this one is selecting everything that the other one isn't. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go in my custom curve, I'm going to click the Y, the gamma, and click this link so that I affect everything, okay? So I'm affecting not just the gamma, because if I uncheck this, it's going to leave the saturation where it is, which I don't want. I want it to take everything with it. And I'm going to go to my editable spline, and this just gives you a look. I've just made that mistake. I'm going to reset this editable spline, and I'm just going to make this pop out a little bit, just a touch. And then I'm going to go in the outside node, click on the shadows, and bring this down. And look at the difference. So completely flat, going to boom, and it draws your eye immediately to that center of the image. And obviously for this shot, I did a focus pull from the character to way down the end of this platform. So if I play it through, the playback is a bit slow. but you can see that's what we're going for. And then in the other clip, we've essentially done everything else. Sorry, we've essentially done everything that we did previously. So here's my window. If I show you, I've got a window going here, and I can show you what it looks like before and after. So just making him stand out a little bit more from the background. And then very similar to the other clip, we've started off by balancing, and then contrast, I'm just bringing everything down like we just did before, and I'm smoothing out my highlights. Can you even say that? Whatever. And then in the curves again, we are adding look how tiny of an adjustment this is. You can barely even see that the red has been moved at all, but it makes such a huge difference. So if I show you before and after with this curve node, it's just adding a bit of teal in the shadows. Can you see that? Right, but we're keeping our black points neutral. So this is fairly neutral, right? It's not, we're not going for Blade Runner or John Wick here, right? We just want a very, very subtle, because this shot doesn't scream drama to me. Do you know what I mean? But you add in a tiny bit of coolness, and I don't know, just those tones add so much drama, I think, and it's very subtle. And then obviously adding the window towards the end. So look at that. This is literally 5 nodes, and it's making such a huge difference. You can spend hours creating a humongous node tree and going ham on this, but this is a very simple setup that I'm using for pretty much every shot in this film, which should be coming out maybe in a week or so. So I'm very excited for that. So I'm basically balancing, adding contrast, and adjusting my exposure levels. Then I'm going in the curves, and I'm tealing up my shadow area. So just adding a bit of teal by taking out red. And then I've got my 2 final nodes, which are my windows. So that's pretty much it. If you guys have any questions about this look, let me know. Tell me what you think about it. I think it's really clean. And yeah, I'm excited to release this film. And I got a lot of requests to do Grand Budapest Hotel, 7, Fight Club, a bunch of different look recreations from movies. So I'm gonna get on that, and stay tuned for those videos. Otherwise, thank you guys very much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.